Good afternoon, poetry freaks. Good afternoon. I had unexpected extra time this afternoon. I had to leave work early to go to an appointment, and now I have a little extra time. What else am I going to do with it? I'm going to do poetry because it's National Poetry Month. I'd already decided this when I was driving home, and then my new lipstick arrived in the mail. I had to order it because of all the moon poetry. If you watch Breakfast Poetry Live on Instagram, at Hipness_and_outrage. I've written an entire chapbook called Moon Devoured. If you listen to podcasts in A minor, which is on this channel, you'll know that our latest episode is called Drunken Tercets. It has a string of prose poem put together with lines of poetry about the moon written by other poets, and then I read the entirety of Moon Devoured, all those poems about the moon, and a little mythology, I guess, that maybe I made up or dreamed. But anyway, I had to order Shoot the Moon lipstick in Stardust, and that's what I'm wearing. So it's been real. I mean, I have been that All May Dreamy, which is the dark blue, since that and that alone since hashtag Purple Harp Blue Lipstick 2021, I believe. So, but then I got the orchid lipstick. I had to get the orchid lipstick to shore me up for the weirdness of Easter family gathering, and which I won't necessarily go into unless I decide to read a poem about it. I don't know, but that. And then I had to get the orchid lipstick after I'd already ordered Shoot the Moon Stardust, and it came today. Isn't that fascinating? I know. Thank you. Thank you for going along with me. Normally, Breakfast Poetry Live is only on YouTube on Thursdays, but here we are with a chance to do a twofer of Poetry Lives on April 22nd, 2025, National Poetry Month. Happy National Poetry Month to you. So I figured I'm going to read a poem, a food poem by William Makepeace Thackeray. Was he the Thackeray, if you will, in that movie about the making of A Christmas Carol, the writing of A Christmas Carol? It's called The Man Who Invented Christmas. I was never going to forgive the guy who played Matthew. I stopped watching Downton Abbey when Matthew left the show in the way that he left it, letting that baby grow up without a father just so he could be in the movies. However, he played Charles Dickens in and The Man Who Invented Christmas. All is forgiven. So good. And Thackeray shows up. He's a critic and a poet and all that stuff, a writer. But man, it's like the kind of a critic he is just like informs my thoughts about this poem called Thackeray's Ode to Curry, or Ode to Curry, Poem to Curry. William Makepeace Thackeray, his lifespan was 1811 to 1863. That puts him, I think, a year older than Charles Dickens. So yeah, they would have been contemporaries. Thoughts. I wasn't sure I was going to read it. I was going to do it on Breakfast Poetry Live, but I thought, man, it talks about veal. Veal is not good. It's not a nice thing to do to an animal. And then also the way he talks about the cook. You're going to love it. Okay. Poem to Curry. 3 pounds of veal my darling girl prepares and chops it nicely into little squares. 5 onions next procures the little minks. The biggest are the best, her Samuel thinks. And Epping butter, nearly half a pound, and stews them in a pan until they're browned. What's next my dexterous little girl will do? She pops the meat into the savory stew with curry powder tablespoonfuls 3 and milk a pint, the richest that may be. And when the dish has stewed for half an hour, a lemon's ready juice she'll o'er it pour. Then, bless her, she gives the luscious pot a very gentle boil and serves quite hot. P.S. Beef, mutton, rabbit, if you wish, lobsters or prawns or any kind of fish are fit to make a curry. 'Tis when done a dish for emperors to feed upon. Now, I love curry. That's the end of that poem. I do like how it's just a recipe, like a method for curry. It gives you like all of the ingredients and how much of the milk and some lemon juice and how long to cook it. I love that. I want to try it sometime, but not with veal. Maybe with beef or chickpeas or not rabbit or mutton. I really don't have access to those. Anyhow, that is from silkroadgourmet.com. And here is the commentary from that blogger. Sounds like the lady could be making Hannah Glass's curry only with veal, no? A delightful example of 19th century food porn poetry with big onions, little minxes, savory stews, and hot pots. As an Englishman born and initially raised in Kolkata by parents, both with ties to the East India Company, Thackeray wrote about something he knew well, curry. Something to amuse you as we continue on our journey examining curry through foreign eyes of the English. Yeah, East India Company came up the other day too in Breakfast Poetry Live. One of the poets was linked to it. I think it was Mary Lamb and Charles Lamb, her brother. And I know that's also out of favor, you know, colonizing and all that jazz. So I just thought I would share a poem, just do a little poetry in the afternoon. I'm going to read a couple that I wrote that don't really fit into the prompts that we do during Breakfast Poetry Live, wherein I pull 3 words from the universe deck. Listen to Poetry Freaks, the sister podcast, Podcast in A Minor. That's also on this channel, episode 10, titled The Universe Deck. And that's how you assemble your 100 important, beautiful words for poetry that, you know, sort of braid into your soul and express your past, present, future, and your sensuality and movement and abstraction. There are 2 ways to do it. Michael McClure's way, he may have invented the universe deck, but he gave a lecture about it at the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics. I have in a book, and that was in the, like 1975, 76. I was not alive. I was not at the school at that time. I was like 1 or 2 years old. So that is a complicated method. I mean, it sounds complicated to me. My method was just sitting with a little TV show on the background, Criminal Minds, and just writing out what words delighted me in my mind. And I spend a lot of time with words. So a lot of words came to me. There are so many more that I find in other poems that I'm thinking of assembling a universe deck for next year's National Poetry Month from poems I've been reading and books I've been reading. And these words jump out, especially Tristan Tzara and the poet Mina Loy. The words that they use, I don't know that I could do how Mina Loy does. She's like, never an ordinary word, always extravagant words. And it is a delight to read. I feel like I would sound unlike myself if I used such fabulous words in my poetry. But we'll see. You know what? We're always growing. I'm going to read an alternate version of Storm Sprinkle Cloud, which was 3 of the words that I pulled one day. When was it? Back earlier this month. Wow. It's dated on 3/31/25. So maybe that was the day before. I mean, the day before National Poetry Month started. So it was for the first day up. But here's the first one I wrote, and then I changed it. And I'm going to double check that I did. Did I? I did. A planet laps a planet and appears to retreat, and as all is a storm of chaos, then I submit that we ditch our cubicle affairs. Oh, I can't read. And find a way to ride out the 3 weeks of retrograde on silken pillows in nests of velvet curtains sustained on jerky, maybe hardtack and jarred preserves. From there, a gentle cloud step, a leap back into the ancient. I don't even know if that was the end. I feel like I rewrote it later to Butter Lightning. Yeah, it was. It became Butter Lightning. Yep. And that one is available for you, I think, on the second day, I'm going to say, of National Poetry Month. I don't think I was dating things right because some like my memory is serving. So that is one poem. I wrote another poem today that, in only the way that a confessional poet can do, I would not want anyone to see. So why don't I just read it out loud on a live stream, right? That's what I'm going to do. It's called Staff Restroom Poem. I was having some thoughts that were panging me a little. And so I wrote about it. It's all right here. It's confessional poetry. Staff restroom poem. Don't cry in here just because it's half dark and the main door locks. Forget his striving at the end to save the marriage, saying you wouldn't need a full-time job and could be an artist, even if today you would have liked a day off. That was 2 years ago. You had to choose one of them to hurt, or both, then strive alone, a gypsy, a poet, an artist, however imaginary, but always more daring when no one is looking. You would have astonished the town, dazzled them breathless, confused their vision temporarily. Sure, of course, and died alone, serene. So that's just a couple of poems to share. And the one by William Makepeace Thackeray. Every time they saw him at the club, the gentleman's club, they were like, oh, because Charles Dickens was feeling like, well, his last book had been a flop. Everybody said so. And he was trying to work on A Christmas Carol, but it just wasn't all. He was like not having an easy time of it at first until the characters came to life, as often I think happens in writing fiction, where you don't even have to think about the next line they're going to say because they say it. You know what I mean? So if you've ever written fiction and experienced that, I have. So I love it when people tell those stories because it feels like a community, right, of kindred souls. What have I been reading? Venus in Furs. My bookmark is a print block from the Grieving Flappers, which was in a circle shape, and then I Used it for a bookmark last night. It's a pretty good book. I can't remember exactly when it was written, early in the 20th century, I believe. And it's about, so far, a man who falls in love with a woman, and he has to make the choice of, because she insists, if you're going to be with me, you have to be domineering, and you have to, I'm going to be the the subservient. And he's like, no, I can't. I just want to be your slave. And so that's what they're doing. I just got to the point where they made that decision. But there's some really fun parts where he thinks the statue of Venus has come to life to find him. I want to see if this tells me what year the book was written, where the thing about the author, beginning or end of the book, I don't know. Okay, so he lived 1836 to 1895. So the author, so it would have had to be in the 1800s at some point. So I'll try and find that later. Maybe on Thursday I'll remember to say so. Don't count on it. We could all look it up when we think of it. I don't know when I'll think of it. Also, the Poet's Guide to Food, Drink, and Desire has been a delight, and it also spurred me to buy, by the same author, which is Gaylord Brewer, the poet. It spurred me to buy Country of Ghosts, because this doesn't really have much poetry. It's got a little bit in the beginning, and like almost as a dedication, and then it really does talk about food. It's like a cookery book, and it also has a lot of little essays about food. Late winter vanilla bean cake. Ooh, I might have to read about that. But he does have, he 8 1-ounce squares white chocolate, 7 tablespoons unsalted butter, 2 plump vanilla beans, 5 farm eggs, and so forth. Fun stuff. Beautiful cover, right? And beautiful writing. And then finally, I will show you again, if I haven't already, on YouTube, John Keats's Porridge, which is Favorite Recipes of American Poets, edited by Victoria McCabe. I believe it was 1976. I always get the 1970s years of this book and the Naropa Institute, Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics. I get those switched. So this might be 1978. I'm going to see if I can find a little year on there. 1975. So there we have it. And it's a lot of fun. I just really want to show it to you. I didn't really find anything. Most of it is just recipes, but then you get the guy, as she says in the introduction, I'm not going to try to make your puree of moonbeams, or your, essence of, Mercury in retrograde or whatever, which is what my first poem that I read today was about, Mercury being in retrograde. And when it was, I believe that was until April 7th, I want to say. I tell you, it really showed at the elementary school where I work, in the behavior room, if you can well imagine. So anyway, I just wanted to take some time for poetry. Next, I'm going to, not here in front of you, but after I turn it off, I'm going to eat a piece of the leftover Easter cake, and I'm going to watch that episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents called The Babysitter, because it's really spooky, but they also eat cake. And so I always have this thing about Hitchcock times where everyone was baking cakes and having people over for coffee. And Mary Wick shows up in that episode. She is from so many things. Sister Act. She is from White Christmas, 1954. And also has a star on the St. Louis equivalent of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Famous people from St. Louis. And I used to work at Washington University in St. Louis in the math department, not as a mathematician, but as a receptionist, who, because I wasn't a mathematician, was very useful in like loading staplers for professors who could do complex differential equations, etc., but couldn't load a stapler or use the copy machine. So that's what I was there for, just to be a normal human being who could do those tasks, and other things too, answer the phone. But the thing is, the staff could use the library on campus, and they had a huge, they were video cassettes back then, it's a long time ago, but they had a huge collection of movies at their library for checkout that were, like, the funds for it were from a donation by Mary Wicks, who I guess had gone there. But anyway, she was from St. Louis. So that is all the cool, kooky stuff I've got to share with you today. I just love to spend a little time in poetry. It's so inspiring, and it makes me feel alive. So I hope to see you Thursday on YouTube. Check it out every day on Instagram at Hipness_and_Outrage. See you next time.